What is going on, everybody? As we creep closer to October baseball, we are just 6 games away from the regular season ending in Major League Baseball, and we got some things to talk about. I hope everybody is doing well today. This is Ian Miller. This is the Nine Hole Podcast, and this is the news around the league that you are going to need to hear and dive into. We're going to be talking about Shohei Ohtani, the historic run that he is currently on. Like I said, there's 6 games left. He's eclipsed the 50-50 mark. He's the first player to eclipse that 50-50 mark. We're going to see how much damage he can do in these last 6 games. We're going to be talking about Whit Merrifield and his injury. He got hit in the head, and obviously there were some questions that came up about rules and punishments going forward based off of pitchers and their increase in velo, the increase in wild pitches, the increase in hit by pitches, and opportunities for disaster with that. And then we're going to end with CJ Abrams and his Casino Royale that got him demoted in Chicago. Like I said, everybody, thank you for tuning in. This is the Nine Hole Podcast. We are live on YouTube. I appreciate you guys. If you're tuning in on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, on YouTube, whatever the case, thank you for being here on this Monday, September 23rd. Thank you, guys. So let's just jump right into it. Shohei Ohtani, man, he's obviously having a banger of a year, something that we've literally never seen before. It's something that I've never been able to process as doable or possible, and I think he's shocking a lot of people. If we can kind of, rewind a little bit to the start of the season, remember how it all started. It all started with Ipe, his ex-translator, kind of gambling his money. There were a whole bunch of questions surrounding Shohei Ohtani and what was going to happen with this illegal gambling. And man, he's obviously turned that upside down and has proved everybody wrong. He's proved me wrong. I thought that there was going to be some question marks surrounding his performance on the field. Obviously, he was getting over and through this elbow, so he's had to focus solely on hitting and production at the plate. He's obviously done that. He's obviously proven that he is a dude, and he's proven that he's worth every single dollar that he signed for this offseason. So let's talk about it. So like I said, 6 games left. He's at 53 home runs and 55 bags. That is absolutely insane for me to try to wrap my head around. 55 stolen bases and 53 home runs alone is mind-blowing. You're stealing 50 plus bags as well. That's wild. Could we see a 55-55 season? I mean, there's, like I said, 6 games left. Can he get 2 home runs in 6 games? Absolutely. I think in order to, when he eclipsed the 50 mark, he hit 3 home runs in that game. He had an absolute banger of a game, and now he's the first player ever to get to 50-50. Let's see if he can set the tone, get it to 55-55. There's no reason why that's not possible, right? There's absolutely no reason on why that's not possible, man. So, aside from him, we've got 5 other players that have hit that 40-40 mark. And, those names are big. Those are household names. Shohei Ohtani is solidifying himself as the greatest baseball player to have ever played the game. I don't know how you could argue differently. And it's something that I needed to see going into this year. There were going to be questions for me surrounding, man, look, he's obviously an insanely valuable player on the mound and at the plate, but now that he is solely focusing at the plate, dude, his production is off the charts. It's never been done before. It's never been seen before. So his first year focused solely on hitting is obviously incredible. Moving forward, do we want him to potentially get back on the mound as a starting pitcher and kind of not shy away, but deviate from just solely focusing on 4 or 5 ABs a game? So if he's hitting, leadoff or 2-hole, man, he's getting 4 or 5 ABs a game. Do you want him getting back on the mound, starting pitching? Of course, man, you can derive a ton of value from him being on the mound, but are we going to risk injury again? Do we want him to potentially have to sit out again with another elbow? These are questions that we're going to need to kind of dive into moving forward. Could we see him maybe go into a bullpen, closer role? Dude, of course he's an electric starting pitcher. Absolutely electric. But with these elbow injuries, with this increase in velo, man, does that potentially hinder his offensive production moving forward if he re-hurts that elbow or hurts a shoulder or hurts a back, anything, man. There's going to be questions surrounding that. Obviously, Shohei Ohtani is an absolute stud. He's the best player to have ever put on a baseball uniform, and he is continuously proving that day in and day out. I'm going to be anxious to see how the Dodgers are going to utilize him moving forward. Once he gets back healthy 100%, do they throw him back into that number one starter role? Do we run the risk of re-injuring that elbow again and potentially getting him away from the plate because of injury time, because of IR, DL, whatever, however you want to call it, man? Those are questions that are in the back of my mind, man. It's going to be interesting to see how they play it moving forward. Let's talk about the fan that caught that number 50 home run ball. So that dude's life changes, and the trajectory of his life changes, and his family's life changes moving forward just from recovering that 50th home run ball. So there are obviously reports that have come out that the Los Angeles Dodgers offered this guy $300,000 for that home run ball, and that was turned down immediately. That wasn't even a thought in this fan's head, and for good reason, man. So we've seen Babe Ruth's called shot home run jersey sell for $24 million. What do we think Shohei Ohtani's historic 50-50 home run ball is going to demand on the open market? I mean, sports memorabilia is insane. We see the prices of everything sports related, appreciating, man. Turning down $300,000 on the spot, that's a no-brainer in my mind. I think this fan that caught this home run ball is going to profit immensely. I think him and his family's life is going to change forever moving forward, and it's all because he was in the right spot at the right time. Cheers to that guy. So like I said, this season is incredible for Shohei Ohtani. It all started with some question marks, with some drama and the gambling and his interpreter and just everything that was going on, man. The injury, how was he going to kind of overcome and get back from the elbow? What was the offensive production going to be like at the plate? Man, he's silencing all of those questions. And is he going to be able to keep this pace moving forward if he gets back on the mound? No way. No way is he going to be able to keep this up. Dude, if you were going to be a number one starting pitcher, I don't see how you're going to be able to put up a 50-50 season as well as having a 3 or sub 2 ERA, right? I mean, that would be insane. But, dude, he's pretty much turning everything that could have been possible, previously on its head and kind of rewriting history. So a year from now, maybe I am looking like an idiot, just like I was at the start of the season questioning Shohei Ohtani and what the season was going to be like for him with all these question marks surrounding the gambling and the interpreter, all that stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see. We got 6 games left, man. The Dodgers are currently, let's see here. Dodgers are currently sitting up top of the NL West, 93-63, man. They're going to be in the postseason. They're looking sexy. It's going to be interesting to see what Shohei Ohtani is going to do moving forward and what the role is going to look like with the Dodgers when he's back to full health, man. So we got something else going on. We've seen the influx in not just starting pitchers, but pitchers in general throwing fuzz. So now we're seeing dudes hitting 103, 104, 105 miles an hour. Mason Miller from the Oakland Athletics is absolutely nasty. He's pumping fuzz. Everybody's throwing 100 miles an hour nowadays, man. Everybody's doing the weighted balls, the off-season training. Everybody is trying to throw the ball as hard as humanly possible. We've seen that you get opportunities in the big leagues if you can touch triple digits. That's just what it is. We've seen that teams have I think the word is propensity. I think teams show that they are willing to call up a prospect or a dude that is kind of knocking on the door, a young guy, if he can throw fuzz. If you can throw hard, there might be a correlation to getting more outs. There may be a correlation to getting more opportunity. We've seen that, man. So the other day, man, the other week, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, the Braves, Whit Merrifield, he's a vet. I think he's played for 9 seasons, man. I love this dude. He got hit in the dome with a 95-mile-an-hour fastball from a rookie pitcher from the Colorado Rockies, Jeff Criswell. 95 straight off the dome. He had gotten lucky. He hit the ground. He was pissed off when, he kind of stumbled around a little bit, came to, said it got him in a good spot. But there is a problem with the lack of repercussions for pitchers that miss up and in. So he brought about great topics, great questions, saying there's limited repercussions. You can't hit a guy back anymore. So these pitchers are throwing fuzz. These pitchers are throwing 100 plus miles an hour, not necessarily knowing where it's going with no repercussions. These pitchers don't have to get back up and hit anymore, so there's going to be no retaliation. If somebody from the Braves came up and immediately hit the next guy in the Rockies, retaliated, hit him up, whether it's like in the neck or the head region or the hands. We're seeing a bunch of guys with the Braves. Austin Riley's out with a fucking broken hand, 97 to the hand. Michael Harris, Travis d'Arnaud, Mookie Betts, right? Just got broken bone in his hand. We just saw him go deep to walk it off last night. But those guys all missed time last month because they got hit with up and in fastballs. And these pitchers that are hitting these guys with up and in fastballs and injuring these guys and kind of fucking them up mentally, they don't have to worry about any repercussions. There's nothing handed out regarding fines or regarding suspensions from the league, from the umpires, and these guys are just going about their business as usual while the hitters are having to deal with the brunt of these injuries. So the pitchers don't hit. There's no fear. They can throw as hard as they can, as hard as humanly possible, and that's how they get opportunity. We've seen it. We've seen these bullpens, especially in these playoff teams. Dude, we're going to be watching MLB playoffs, and every single bullpen piece is going to be throwing 98 plus. We see that every single year in the playoffs, man. And so these guys getting hit in the face, getting hit in the helmet. We're talking about, Justin Turner last year. We're talking about Taylor Ward last year. This guy had to get reconstructive surgery on his face, my guy, just from that fastball love right there. So where are the repercussions at? You can't retaliate. You can't hit the pitcher's back, dude. They don't hit anymore. They don't have to worry about anything. And now when you do retaliate, you try to throw at somebody, you police it just like they did back in the old days or back when I was playing, you get thrown out immediately. So it would be great if there were some sort of accountability for these pitchers and making sure that there are repercussions. Do we see it in other sports, right? We see it in other sports. NFL. I'm watching NFL football. I'm watching football games. We're seeing targeting penalties. We're seeing that get enforced. We're seeing these strict rules happening, even in college football, right? Targeting penalties, dude, you get kicked out. There isn't even a question, right? They review it. If it's targeting, smell you. NBA, they have levels. They have differing levels of flagrant fouls, right? Soccer, yellow cards, red cards. Man, where are the repercussions for these pitchers that are ending seasons? Dude, we got lucky with these headshots, right? You hit somebody where there's not necessarily much protection, right? We talk about Taylor Ward having to get reconstructive surgery on his face. But what if that hits a temple? Man, what if the helmet moves out of the way and you get hit in the neck in a certain way that you can't really come back from? Like, where are the repercussions going to be there? The pitchers don't get penalized for it, right? It's not necessarily a negative when a pitcher has a 0 ERA, but has walked a couple guys, has hit a couple guys, has ended a season or two. Like, there's no fear. There's no fear behind it. There's no repercussions. And Whit Merrifield had to leave the game. Said that this is embarrassing, kind of where the game's at. He says it's bullshit. Whit Merrifield had to leave the game. He sat out the next game. I think he might have sat out 2 games, and the pitcher stays in, right? Where are the repercussions, man? Where are the repercussions there? I agree there. He says, I think that's bullshit. So Whit had also said in 2025, he's on the MLB competition committee. He says that there's going to be a rule in place that is going to police this stuff. There's going to be repercussions. There's going to be suspensions. There's probably going to be fines for these pitchers when they hit somebody up and in, if they do it multiple times, if they injure somebody, they're hitting wrists, hitting hands, hitting faces, hitting helmets. There are going to be penalties handed out. I love the idea. I love the idea. That is what it is. Everybody's throwing harder now. Everybody's throwing fuzz. Not everybody knows where it's going, especially these rookies coming up that are throwing fuzz, trying to earn a spot. They got the jitters. Man, there needs to be repercussions. Whit Merrifield says the state of MLB pitching and lack of punishment for this is pathetic and bullshit, and it is tough for me to disagree. I think, there were a whole bunch of rule changes for entertainment purposes, right? They changed the bags, they changed the shot clock. Man, they're changing the rules, the pickoffs. Man, they're making it a little bit easier. With shifts, maybe with stolen base attempts, all this stuff, limiting pickoffs. Man, they're changing the rules for entertainment, and it worked. The demographic of viewership for Major League Baseball, it's starting to get younger. More young players, more young people are watching baseball. They are watching the entire baseball game. They are entertained by baseball. That is what Major League Baseball was setting out to accomplish when they started messing with the rules. We need to have the same type of rule changes for the safety of players. If these guys are going to be throwing 100 plus miles an hour, there needs to be repercussions if there are injuries. In my opinion, we are seeing a ton of dudes missing high and tight, up and in with triple digits. These guys are throwing 103, 104, 105 miles an hour now. There needs to be repercussions. So NFL players, they had to rework the way that they tackle. College football players, they had to relearn the way that they tackle, or else targeting, smell ya. I feel like pitchers, if they are going to be throwing fuzz, they need to rework the way that they go about attacking the strike zone. I think missing up and in continuously, I think injuring multiple players with triple-digit heat, hitting guys in the head, upper extremities, man, I think that's a no-no. I don't like that one bit. I've been thrown at before multiple times, and dude, it messes with you a little bit. You miss behind somebody, and you could be kind of messed up for an AB or two, a game or two, right? There are lingering effects there, especially if you get hit and you get hurt, man. Especially if it is serious and you get hurt. I think there definitely needs to be repercussions. I think Major League Baseball needs to go back to the drawing board, especially this offseason. And Whit Merrifield and the MLB Competition Committee seem to agree there will be rule changes moving forward for the 2025 year. So for reference, Baseball Reference came out with some numbers here. So 2024 this year, 0.42 hit by pitches per game. So that's just under half of a hit by pitch per game. So, every 2 games, there's a hit by pitch. So 0.42 hit by pitches per game from 1927 to 1992. So what is that? That's 65 years. So in 65 years of baseball, from 1927 to 1992, there was rarely over 0.2 hit by pitches per game, and it was never over 0.25 hit by pitches per game. So the number of hit by pitches per game has doubled in those 65 years to now. So the hit by pitches are doubling, right? But check this out. The average velo in 2008 was 91.9. The average velo in 2023 was 94.2. We don't have the average velo of 2024 yet because the season is not over, or else I would hit you guys with those stats. So the hit by pitches per game are going up, double, and the miles per hour, the average velo is going up by over 2 miles an hour in 15 years, man. So pitchers are throwing harder, and they're missing more. They're missing high and tight more, triple-digit heat, velo's going up, hit by pitches are going up. I do not feel as though that is a recipe for success, especially for the health and longevity of the baseball player. We see the amount of injuries, the amount of elbow injuries that are happening. I get it. Hopefully there's some rules in place this offseason that start policing this, because the players and the pitching staffs themselves, they can't police it. No retaliation, like I said. Man, I wanted to kind of end with this story. We've heard a bunch about the Casino Royale and the weekend gambling of CJ Abrams, the Washington Nationals all-star shortstop, 23-year-old stud who was an all-star this year, right? He had a fantastic first half. First half hitting 268, 832 OPS, and he was a stud. He was the lone all-star from the Washington Nationals. He's been slumping the second half, hitting 203, just over 200 with a 586 OPS. So that is significant struggles. The Nationals are 69 and 87. They're fourth in the NL East, man. They don't have a shot in hell in making the playoffs. And CJ Abrams was out gambling at a casino in Chicago with a day game coming, and he got caught. He got caught, man. There was some media. There was a picture that came out, whether it was on Twitter or Instagram. I didn't even read it, man, but he got sent down because of it. He got sent down because of it. So GM Mike Rizzo sent him down after this all-nighter at a Chicago casino before a day game at Wrigley. So the night before, I should say, so Thursday, he went 4 for 5 with 2 doubles and 2 stolen bases with this night game. Then he goes out, he goes to the casino, throws some money around, Casino Royale at, Bally's Casino, until 8 a.m. the next morning, and we have a day game banger at Wrigley. So this guy leaves the casino after going 4 for 5 with 2 doubles and 2 bags, and he pulls an all-nighter at the Bally's Casino. Don't know if he was up or down when he left his Casino Royale, but there was about, 5 hours left until this day game, and, man, he got sent down. He got sent down. So he goes from the casino to the field, catches an 0 for 3 with a walk, and then he immediately gets sent down, man. So he gets sent down on Saturday. The AAA season ended on Sunday. So this guy got sent down to a team that is no longer playing. So the Washington Nationals basically just sent him to the spring training complex in Florida and told him to take a seat, go figure it out. We don't want you here right now. They had said moving forward, Davey Martinez says it's the right thing to do. He is still going to play a big role moving forward in the Washington Nationals and their success, but it's just he's not going to appear in the MLB again for the rest of the season. How do I feel about it, man? I think this dude is a grown man. I think he's a grown man, 23-year-old grown man making some money, playing for a team that is not very good. But the average age in the Washington Nationals clubhouse is 27 years old, so they are a young team. It appears that there's been a message sent to keep these players in line, to keep these guys, kind of in check. Obviously, some teams, some organizations have rules. Some teams have curfews. I never experienced that. I've never experienced that, right? I obviously haven't been the starting all-star shortstop for a Major League Baseball team, but to think that a 23-year-old all-star who's having a pretty decent year, he's struggling now. He's hitting 246, 747 OPS, man. Obviously, like we said, he's kind of scuffling in that second half, but supposedly he was checking out early. So there are reports kind of circling around that this dude has been checking out. He's not interested in playing winning baseball. He's checked out. He's going to hit the casino on a Friday night. He does not care about winning, and so I think that's where we're getting the seriousness that results from him getting sent down. He's missing out on $30,000 of his $700 and something thousand salary. He's missing out on 30 racks being sent down. I don't think he's necessarily losing sleep over that, man. I think he's like ARB eligible, Super 2, something like that. He could file a grievance if he thinks this is wrong. We'll see what happens, man. But like I said, they sent him down, packed his bags, said, smell ya, go to the spring training complex, watch us compete for these last 6 games. And I think it sends a message to dudes like Dylan Cruz. Dylan Cruz just debuted the other week. Not necessarily off to the hottest start, but I think that sends a message to that young clubhouse, that 27-year-old average age clubhouse saying, hey, you need to follow the rules. These are the rules we have in place. They've kept it internal. They haven't been insanely outspoken, especially about, Abram supposedly checking out early. But if you're a 23-year-old playing Major League Baseball on a weekend in Chicago, man, boys will be boys, men will be men, right? These guys are just guys, okay? I didn't see any drinks in the pictures. I don't think he was blackout drunk. But if he's out past curfew, man, he's out past curfew, right? Does that warrant him being sent down and missing out on $30,000 and missing out on the rest of the season? I don't know. I'm sure that there's more to the story that we aren't hearing, but stay tuned. Obviously, he came over in the Soto trade. He was a key piece of that Soto trade. So are the Nationals going to trade him moving forward? I don't know. There are questions surrounding that. But like I said, Nats manager Davey Martinez says this is to send a message. It's not because of his play. He is going to be an integral piece moving forward for the Nationals. I don't know. I don't necessarily know if that's the right thing to do. It's not my team, but the way that I look at it is that there are a ton of rules in place. Ton of rules in place behind the scenes. They're not necessarily a very good team. They're not having the best year. I was always told by my AAA manager in 2018 that bad teams have meetings. I just had one of the best college coaches ever, I should say, one of the best college coaches ever come on and said that there are no rules for his team, it's just standards. He doesn't do room checks. There's no curfew. That's Tim Corbin from Vanderbilt, who is the architect behind the Vandy Boys dynasty, one of the most dominant college baseball teams in his 20 plus years of coaching. Man, there's no rules there. I know that top tier SEC baseball is a little different from Major League Baseball, but if there are no rules from college kids being out on the weekends, man, it's tough for me to understand how a 23-year-old grown man who is an all-star can be sent down and said, we'll smell you. Get off the team. Like, dude, don't even worry about development. There's no games for you to play. Just go. Just get out of here. So there's obviously something behind the scenes that we aren't seeing, that we don't know about. It's going to be interesting moving forward how this all plays out. But there's something here that stinks a little bit. So we're gonna keep the eyes peeled. We're gonna see what happens here. In my opinion, dude, you don't do this to somebody that you value long term. We'll see what happens. GM Mike Rizzo, I think, did this last year with a player, and I guess it worked out. So we'll see what happens, man. I don't necessarily agree with it. I don't necessarily like it. Can he live? You know what I mean? It's like it's the last week or two of the season. So if there's a bad attitude there, or if there's something behind the scenes that we aren't necessarily aware of, I think that's the case. So let's keep our eyes out, our ears peeled, and if you guys hear anything, let me know. I got Shohei Ohtani going 55-55. I got Whit Merrifield getting rules in place for 2025 for pitchers being suspended and or fined for hitting players high and tight, up and in with fastballs. And I got CJ Abrams being traded from the Washington Nationals for God knows what reason. Obviously, there's stuff going on in the locker room behind the scenes. Like I said, supposedly he's checking out early. Well, he has checked out because he is in Florida right now, not playing baseball, just watching the Nats play baseball. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to this edition of the Nine Hole Podcast live on